get better. And I believe one of the best things that you can grow, one of the best areas that you can grow in is the recruiting area. We actually titled this training Reset. Reset. And no, not in terms of the contest, in terms of your mentality and your mindset. So we were looking at the numbers in the hierarchy, and the good news is that Sheila Bustamante and team had a wonderful, wonderful week. The bad news is the rest of the hierarchy, including our team, is a little down in terms of where we average. And, for whatever reason that might be, personal, health, financial, you have a shot on this Saturday moving forward to completely reset with basically 10 days left of the month. And if there's one area that you could hone in on and 10x your focus, your activity, and your results in, it is recruiting. First, it's prospecting and recruiting, because doing those things, it will cause a domino effect of increase in the entire rest of anything that's measurable in our business. You guys have a shot to reset everything today. And we're going to talk about what to focus on and what to think about. Because what we think about, we bring about. We're going to talk about what to think about this morning in regards to and Shondell is going to be kicking us off. Enjoy, guys.
Awesome. Hey, it's all good. You got your lady on your mind. That's a good thing. But other than that, guys, yeah, we're going to start off with just some general mindset today. And then I think we're going to end with some action steps. Josh is going to give you some of those. But when you're talking about thinking about recruiting, first, you just got to really think about what you're actually thinking about on a day-to-day, right? Because recruiting isn't something that comes natural for a lot of people, unless you've maybe come from that field or that industry. But recruiting is something new for most people, and recruiting is something that you got to deal with people. So a lot of times people realize, oh man, I'm recruiting, and now all these people are telling me all these things, dealing with all their problems. I have to talk to them about this. I have to make sure they're on training. So it's like, you have to, in order to recruit, you got to deal with that, and you got to become a better people person and work through those things. But a lot of times you can go out and write a sale and make some money, and you forget about why you're really here, right? So with that, you want to make sure that you're focusing on the right things as far as when it comes to the recruiting and the builder's mindset. So first thing, are your goals waking you up daily? There shouldn't be a time in your business where you're just going through the motions. Right? Let me just, okay, yeah, I know today, maybe I have a couple appointments later tonight. Cool, awesome. Take off the rest of the day. No, you got, and Shaq talked about this on Friday. You got to make sure you're focusing on your morning. Wake up every single day. Keep your routine on track. Are your goals waking you up? Are you waking up every morning like Josh does and a lot of the leaders on the team and looking at the leader sheets? Are you there? Is your team there? Is your upline there? Are you fighting to get to the top? What are your goals? Because sometimes, number one, people don't even have goals. They have the typical Primerica, my why is my family. My why is I want to be financially independent. But really, have you thought about your goals? Have you written out your goals? Have you figured out exactly what it is that you want? Do you write them down? Do you have pictures of them in front of you that you can look at on your phone, on your computer, around your house? Do you have a dream board? Are those the things that you're focusing on a regular basis? And to be honest, I wasn't really focusing on that too much. Sometimes you do get into a grind and you're like, hey, I just got to go get my next recruits, double digit, blah, 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 blah. Keep going, right? But you got to remind yourself daily, hey, what are your goals? What is it that you're fighting for? Because that will continue to push you through all of the downtimes in your business, right? So are your goals waking you up daily? Desire for growth, right? Not being in a stagnant point in your business. Have you gone back and looked through what you've done so far this year? Where are your recruiting numbers? Have they grown? Or have they been the same like they have been the last 6 months, the last year, the last 2 years, right? You got to have that desire for growth. Honestly, that's probably the biggest thing for me. I'm just tired of being where we're at. Hey, we're great. Josh was saying, hey, we were number one. We were talking yesterday, number one in the state right now with recruiting, but we're only at 11 recruits. You look at the nation, like I think Baragon, when I was looking, he was at like 90 something recruits halfway through the month, guys. Are you okay with being where you're at, or are you looking for that growth? And the only way that growth is going to happen is not just from you doing more and everything yourself, but you recruiting, you finding other people that's going to come alongside you, right? So you can continue to get to those high numbers. Baragon's not recruiting 99 people himself. There's no way. There is no way, guys. So we gotta desire that growth to not be stagnant, because that's going to bring the hierarchy up. I love it. I love Sheila and Team Busted coming in and shaking things up at the regional level, because for a long time, you guys got to be honest with yourselves. We've been stagnant as a hierarchy. We got to start picking things up and growing. So that desire for growth is huge. Do you hurt enough? This is big. A lot of people are comfortable. Somebody else is making money for them at home. They're good. They got a place to live. They got food to eat. They can go out, buy food if they want, things like that, right? Their bills are paid. They're not really worried. So a lot of times if people are in their comfort zone, and that's cool, they're fine, they're not going to wake up every day and be like, oh my gosh, I got to find my next producer. I got to find the next one that's going to take my business to the next level. A lot of people are very comfortable. So if you're not hurting enough, you're not going to go through the things you need to go through to see the bigger goal and the bigger picture at the end, right? Because you think about a lot of other businesses and industries out there, right? There is no comfort zone right now. You think about the restaurant industry with COVID and things going on. They can't hire a lot of new people, so they got to go out and make things happen. You think about Esmeralda, and because Esmeralda works at a restaurant, I believe, right? So, and she's a restaurant manager or owner. So when you look at it, she has to take on everything, but she's hurting too much to want to continue to do that on a regular basis. So what has that done? That's caused a change in her business and what she's doing here, right? So we have to find, if we are paying our bills and we are comfortable and we have some money in the bank, cool. Do something else to feel that hurt. Have a reward punishment system. If you don't close, if you don't win the day, do something. Punish yourself, because a lot of people will work to not have to go through pain versus working for the what's the other one? The positive outcome, right? Pleasure, exactly, right? So with that, work with that. I mean, Josh was telling me the other day, he was like, hey, you know what the West Coast does? They say if something happens, you got to come to my house and plunge my toilet. If you're not number one, if you don't beat me, you got to wash my dishes at my house. You got to wear this bright pink shirt at training, so that says princess, even if you're a guy, right? On it. Like, they do things because they would rather not do that and win, so that's huge, guys. And then, is anybody following you, right? We're here to be leaders or find more leaders. So you can't head fake yourself. And sometimes I fall into this too. So when we're going through these trainings, these are things that we think about as well on a regular basis, but you have to realize, hey, who's actually following you? And if there isn't anybody, you got to think about resetting and starting to find some people that do want to follow you. Maybe refresh your vision, right? Be a little bit more passionate about what you're talking about when you are recruiting and you're out there talking to people. Because sometimes it's like, hey, we got the same 3, 5, 10 people that are always on training, right? Cool. But are those people actually following you towards the vision? Are they pushing you up, or are they just showing up every single week, which is fine? And I'm not saying this in a bad way. We love you. Continue showing up, right? Get better. But you got to remember, if your attendance is 10, right? 20% rule, there's really only 2 people there that's going to help you towards that vision. So we got to continue growing that and realizing that. So that's what are you thinking about, guys? Next thing is the micro. So what are the little things that you're focusing on? Josh is going to talk a little bit about the macro, the bigger picture, and then, like I said, the action steps. But what are you thinking about and focusing on daily, right? Your daily things, right? Go to sleep, eat, sleep, and drink recruiting all the time. Always be thinking about it, right? It's so awesome to see Lilix and her growth in the business. I mean, when we met her, when we went to the convention a couple years ago, to where she is now, it's unbelievable. Everywhere that she goes, when she's out and about, she's like, whoa, I'm going to prospect this person, right? She's like the prospecting queen. And it's amazing because she's been trained by one of the best prospectors in the hierarchy, but it's unbelievable. They're always thinking about recruiting. Who am I talking to? Great, we can get a sale, we can get a massive rollover, we can get securities. I know they're working on their mortgage side of things too, but every single time they're like, oh, I just talked to this sharp person, it was a client, but I think we're going to recruit them, right? Always think about recruiting, right? So bringing in new teammates and then pushing the promotion button, because sometimes we do just recruit, but people got to know, okay, what's the next level? What should they be focusing on getting to, right? District leaders, think about this, guys. How many district leaders have you promoted in the last 30 days, 60 days, 6 months? Because ultimately, if we want to get to being a vice president, you got to have district leaders. That's your factory. Bruce talks about that on a regular basis, right? He's like, hey, you got to bring in the raw material, but they got to come out of the other side. And the other side is being a district leader, and not just district leader by title, but district leader, sorry guys, it keeps getting dark. District leader by work and being independent. Putting not hey, we're gonna do all this production for you, we're gonna split the sales, do all the work, do all the talking, and then yes, you're district leader. No. Hey, can you put your name on a sale on your own, close, go through objections, recruit somebody, help them through a fast start, get them off to a fast start? Are you pushing people through that system and pushing that promotion button the right way? Next thing, double-digit recruit to find your next independent producer. I don't remember all the numbers, but Josh was telling me, he's like, hey, I think I found out a new formula. How many people I got to go through to find my next producer? I haven't thought about that, but he put that down on paper. And whenever he decides that he wants to share that, he will, right? But you got to know how many people you need to go through to find a new producer. Because if it's 10, if it's 20, whatever the case may be, you got to figure out, okay, if that's the number, it's going to take me 2 years to get 3 new district leaders. So you got to figure out, okay, how many people do I need coming in order for me to find a new independent producer? And then once you figure that out, then you sell that vision to everybody else. Because, hey, if we need to find 10 in the next 3 months, and we know that number, okay, well, we got to take part in how many recruits we're going to bring in. You guys. So now we know at the end of this month, we're finding 1 to 2 new producers this month. And even when we get to these bigger scales, it'll be like weekly, the amount of recruits that you go through to find a new producer. So those are some good things to think about. CFO, right? The CFO of the business, they're the ones that work on the numbers daily. They work on the numbers. They know what you did last month, what you did last week. I think that I feel like a record. I've been saying this every single time I come up to speak, guys, but track your numbers. Do you know how many recruiting appointments you set last week? Do you know how many people showed up? Do you know how many people ghosted you? Do you know how many people that showed up actually moved forward? Because if you don't know those numbers, you can't make them better. If we have a 7-week focus, yes, a lot of times we focus on that on the QA side. Hey, how many did we have set? Did we close? We talk about Top Gun weekly, how much production we got weekly, but we also have to do that on the recruiting side. Work the numbers, understand your ratios. So that's huge. And then the last thing is it's stepping stones. These things that we're going to do on a regular basis to continue focusing on is going to bring us the macro, bring us the big picture, help us towards that vision and the why that we have for either ourselves or our family or our business, right? So Josh is going to kind of talk about that, because sometimes maybe that might wake you up more so than competing and being on the leader sheets, right? So we're going to transition. Josh is going to go into some of the macro things as far as why you recruit and build.
All right, guys. So generally it's best to start with the end, begin with the end in mind, because even on your worst day, when you know, one of the people I follow the most is Grant Cardone. And he says he writes his goals 3 times a day, once in the morning, once at night. And then he'll always ask someone to guess the 3rd time he writes his goals during the day. And put in the chat what time of day or when you think the 3rd time Grant Cardone writes his goal. Don't do it, Shondell. Nope. Before bed is the 2nd time. So he writes his goals before the day starts. When the day ends, 12 noon is a really good guess. At lunch is a really good guess. Let's see if anybody else can guess it. These are all not quite correct. 6 a.m., that would be the first time when the day starts. So it's when the day starts, when the day ends. And as he completes them, all great guesses, but actually it's when he's feeling down. That would be the 3rd time he writes his goals. Because if your goals are big enough, they will be like a magnet pulling you towards them with action, even when you don't feel good, even when you're down, even when you're stagnant, right? And which our hierarchy kind of is right now compared to other massive hierarchy. Like we have a lot of growing to do in licensing, in recruiting, in premium, in every area. We have a lot of growing to do, but you should always begin with the end in mind as you start a journey. So when I look at the mindset between you know, recruiting and prospecting and developing new leaders, you know, dealing with knuckleheads, right? And people not showing up and stuff like that. I realized the reason that I'm doing that is because not everybody's like that. Sheila's not like that. Israelda is not like that. Shondell's not like that. Lelix is not like that. Samir wasn't like that. And if you can find a couple key people, it's going to turn into a life of freedom. And in my opinion, freedom, what freedom looks like, how do you spell freedom? You spell freedom with T-I-M-E. That's how you spell freedom. And Samir did a training once before that he, you know, came up with in his head. He did like a PowerPoint of an employee's schedule. And he showed that Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., the entire chart is red, just completely blocked out. And employees get the kind of the leftovers of the evenings when they're tired after work and have zero energy and have to prepare for the next day and the week. That's what they get. And then Samir showed his schedule, which is the whole entire week is blank, except for 1 or 2 meetings. And that is true freedom. That is time. What would your life look like if you earned not even more, but the same exact amount of income that you're currently earning, working 50 hours per week less? What would your life look like? What would you do with that additional time? Could you go out and give more time to the building of your business? Could you give more time to your children? Could you travel more because you're earning more money? Because you're able to give more time and effort to your business? Passive income is the second reason why you focus on recruiting. Personal production is great. Making money is great personally, but eventually the idea of 100% of your income coming from 100 different places, that is the end all be all. And it's not just like at a job, your income is fixed and you get very small incremental raises, 1%, 2% per year. That doesn't happen when you focus on recruiting and field training multiple leaders. You can take your income from where it is now. If your income's at 30 grand per year right now, or 20,000 per year right now, whatever your rolling 12 is, you can check it out on the Primerica app. You can take your income from 20,000 a year to 50,000 a year in 1 year. I took my income from 9,000 a year, an embarrassingly low 9,000 per year, to 50,000 per year in less than 12 months. Less than 12 months. You can take your income. I saw Samir take his income from 200,000 to 300,000 in less than 6 months. You can do that in business, right? So the idea that you can make massive jumps, but in a way that you don't necessarily have to be involved, that's the idea that you focus on when growing a team. And then obviously the impact you make. When you have a job, guys, you're only truly able to impact those that you can personally touch. But I think about it all the time, like, how many of you guys would be in Primerica being able to change your family tree if Shaquille gave up when people were telling him no when he was door knocking? How many would I be here focused on becoming the youngest $1 million earner in the company? Would that even be in my head if Samir quit or just never gave Primerica a chance, or didn't think big enough? Because some of you guys are thinking, I just want to make 2,000, 3,000 a month, 4,000 a month, and that's great. But if Samir didn't think, I want to, think big, I want to make hundreds of thousands, millions one day, would I be here? One day